Ladies and gents, it's been nearly a year since we last got to see our incredible national team play. I'm here with none other than Hassan Osama to discuss Iraq's recent matches with Jordan and Uzbekistan. Hassan, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, and it's great to be back.
Absolutely, man. I was so excited to see Iraq play after such a long time. How did you feel watching the team put their shirt on for the first time in nearly a year?
Yeah, it's wonderful to see them back. With the national team, it's always the performance is always secondary for me. Just to see them out on the field is always a great feeling. Completely different from club football.
Absolutely, there's a special feeling that comes from watching Iraq. But we'll come back to the Iraq national team because I am joined today by a special young man, very, very talented individual who also London-based. It's none other than Crystal Palace's Cardo Siddik. Cardo, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here. Excited for this podcast.
I'm more excited than you are, actually, man. I've been meaning to reach out to you for such a long time. I don't know how I came across you, actually. No, actually, I remember.
It was a while ago, wasn't it?
It was a while ago. My cousin, who's a scout for QPR, told me there's a young Iraqi player who plays for Crystal Palace and is very, very good. So I thought I'd search you, and somehow I came across your account on Instagram, man. And it's amazing how far within a couple of months we've gone from not many people actually knowing about you to you actually finally wearing an Iraq shirt. How does it feel?
It all happened really quickly, to be honest. And I remember the exact night it happened. It was in the middle of lockdown, so there was no football, nothing, and I was just at my friend's house. And I just remember going on my phone and all of a sudden, seeing all of these follow requests and people liking and stuff. And I see that a couple of Iraqi news outlets have posted about me, and they finally seen who I am.
Can I ask? Let's retrack right to the beginning. First of all, who first reached out to you to actually put the whole process into shape? Like, what happened in terms of you getting a passport? Who reached out to you right at the beginning to tell you, do you want to play for Iraq, etc.?
So from what I know, there was multiple people. Well, one first person that sort of got my name out there was a guy called I don't know him very well, but my dad knows him as Bahlul. And I don't know if you know Yusuf Al-Hafaji.
Yeah.
He helped me a lot.
Shout out to Yusuf, he's a good friend of the show.
Yeah, really nice guy. He helped me a lot in regards to passports and communications with the federation and some of the problems that I faced and how to get over these obstacles. And and he helped me out with his platforms like Iraqi Pro Players, and that's how it was.
Did you have in your mind that you want to play for Iraq, and it was something you were aspiring to over a long time, or was it just an opportunity came up and you thought, yeah, I'm going to go for this? It sounds good.
To be honest, I've always wanted to play international football. That's the side of my career that I really wanted to achieve something in. Because international football for a player like me is it's something big, and not everyone can get it. You're playing for a whole country. And it's like, as a player, you're honoured by something like that. You're representing millions and millions of people. But for a while, I've been at Palace for about 4 years now, and for the majority of that, I wasn't really noticed on the international stage. So when this spontaneously happened, I was really happy, and thought I'd take it or grab it with both hands.
Let's rewind things a little bit then. You've been at Palace for 4 years. Let's go way before that. When did you realise you want to be a footballer?
When did I decide I wanted to be a footballer?
Yeah, when did it really hit you? Thinking, do you know what? This is my career from now on.
I think I was around 9-10 years old. I was playing a couple of years in Sunday League, and during those couple of years, I sort of found myself and realised, listen, I'm actually good at this sport. My family realised he's good at football, and after those couple of years, I grew to fall in love with the sport. And after that, like, I just set a path. Like, this was my goal, and it was a dream to accomplish this.
Have you always been a defender?
I've actually been a midfielder more than I have been a defender.
Like a holding midfielder?
Holding midfielder. It's like 50-50 holding and attacking. I could have played anywhere in our midfield, but this was mostly in Sunday League. As I sort of transitioned into the academy game, I sort of went backwards into as a defender.
Did you go straight to Palace then from Sunday League?
I had trials, I had encounters with academies before Palace, but I never, Palace was my first academy where I signed a contract with them.
And you've been there for 4 years now. That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
You're born in London, right?
Yes.
Okay, so just
West
like
London.
me, man, I'm a bit older than you though. I'm 28. You're 18, so I've got 10 years senior to you. But in that time, growing up, I've not really seen many Iraqi footballers like in the UK or London, especially, given that there's so many of us located here.
There are a lot of Iraqis here.
Yeah, so I want to throw this question over to you. Like, I've wondered this a lot myself, and obviously Yasser Qasim's the exception. We have a few talents coming here and around the UK. So we have Ali at Swansea, Ali Al-Hamadi.
Yeah.
We have Zidane Iqbal, who's in Manchester right now. We have another chap whose name slips my mind, Haidar something, at Warsaw in League 2. He recently signed a contract as well.
Nice.
But not many Iraqi talents. Why do you think that is?
I think it's like Iraq over the years, like it's suffered a lot, and I think it's just a matter of picking up the pieces and showing that there is hope and that we can rebound from what we suffered. A lot of the people over the last 30 years or so haven't been in a great situation, and a lot of the people coming over to the UK might not have been in the best situation for obvious reasons, and may have not had the privileges that people born here or living here had, and it's just a matter of being hopeful, and that's what I've aspired to do with my career, to show that I'm not different to any of these other players. Like, I was exactly like them. My parents were refugees, they fled war, and 30 years later, I hope to do them proud in what I'm doing. So I just want to show that, like, there is hope and anyone can do what I'm doing. I'm exactly like everybody else. I'm no different.
I'm sure you're going to make your parents and all of Iraq very, very proud.
Hopefully.
Inshallah. I want to ask you though, 4 years at Palace, how's that been?
It's been really good. Like, it was a much needed phase in my career. I feel like I've improved a lot as a player, not just on the ball, but massively off the ball. Something I was really lacking, and something I couldn't really improve in Sunday League. And I feel like I've improved many different aspects of my football, all over the spectrum, to be honest.
That's amazing, and it's something I want to come back to in terms of looking at the under-19s and your experience with Iraq there, with the camp and the 2 matches you played. It's always something I've pondered, and I've never really had the answer given to me where it was convincing, let's say, in terms of the difference in terms of tactical approaches that you get when playing with a national team and playing in the European League. Before we get into that, so you've had 4 years there. You get called up to the under-19 camp.
Yeah.
What were your emotions and thought before when you found out and then before you flew out?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I was quite nervous and anxious about it, because this is my first international experience, but because I'm an Iraqi player playing in the Youth Premier League, and there's a lot of eyes on me. There was a lot of eyes on me at the moment. People had high expectations because of where I'd reached, and I didn't want to disappoint. And I wanted to live up to my name, and that's natural. I think that's natural for a youth player, but someone my age, and it was just a matter of dealing with the nerves and overcoming it and just playing my game. And because I know how I am, I know how I play, I know what I've done, and it's just a matter of realizing that and actually doing it on the pitch.
How did you overcome the nerves?
Well, when I did get called up, I had a couple of months in between me actually playing for Iraq, and during that period, like, I was playing games at Palace. I was improving myself a lot. Like, I did lots of extra training sessions to improve on certain aspects which I thought could be a bit better. So I did practice a lot, and I did want to make a really good impression. So if me practicing a lot gave me confidence, and with that confidence I went abroad and played for Iraq.
All right, so you're called up. You make the journey over to it was Qatar, if I'm not mistaken, right, Doha?
Yes.
How was the experience there, meeting all the players for the first time, your teammates, the staff? What was that like?
It was a really nice experience. Everyone was really nice. I had a really nice welcome. The staff, all of the players. I have no faults at all. And why I say it's a really good experience is it was something I wasn't used to, something I had never experienced. Many things were different. Like, I didn't speak the language, and there were language barriers, and it was and the fact that we overcame them there with no problems on and off the pitch was really good in my opinion. And the players were really supportive, knowing that I was maybe lacking in these fields. No one like it was a really. I received a really warm introduction into the team, so I didn't feel out of place. And yeah,
that's really good. That like you felt like at home and you fitted in immediately.
Yeah, definitely.
Just on the note of language barriers, so what languages do you speak? English and.
So, I speak English and Kurdish only. I don't speak Arabic.
Were there any other Kurdish players in the under-19 camp?
There was, other than me, there was 3 other players in the under-19 camp. One who was native to Iraq, as in who was living in Iraq.
Yeah.
2 others were expats.
Yeah, that must have helped you a little bit, right?
Yeah, so that sort of helped with the translation issues that I was facing. So yeah.
The expat players, Nadim Costa, the goalkeeper, and the other one whose name slips my mind. Can you remind me?
Metin Salah.
All right. How were they? Like, hopefully we could get them on the show as well. How did they how did they find it as well from your perception or from what they told you, etc.?
I also think like they had no problems fitting in. They seemed like they brought a really good energy and experience into the team. That sort of experience you get from the West, and it was good to have something that I was used to as well at the camp. It was quite a lot different to what I was used to, so it was nice to have that sort of piece of home with me there. And I think personally they also helped out a lot with the play and how the football was played.
There was a lot of players missing from the team. It would have been amazing to see you joining up with the likes of Ali Al-Hamadis and etc. But we've got the future to look forward to. Hopefully we'll see that very, very soon. In terms of on the pitch, the first game was 0-0. You managed to keep a clean sheet, which was good. Not the win we wanted, but at the end of the day, it is a friendly, and you're playing Qatar away, so it's not going to be an easy game. The second game, unfortunately, we lost 5-1. Can you talk us through both games? How did you find it? How did you find, especially the style of football and the level of training? And it must be very different to what you're used to at Palace. What did you notice was the biggest differences?
So when I did play my first match, I saw that Qatar, they were very organised, disciplined in their way of playing, but I didn't feel like it was a team that could brush us over easily. Like, I definitely believe that game was a very winnable game for us. And in fact, we did score at one point. It was disallowed for a foul, but I feel like there was no gap between us and Qatar at all. In fact, if there was a gap, then they would be below us, in my opinion. Their way of playing was disciplined, organised, but I feel like there was many areas where we could have damaged them. But in terms of the football we played, it was really, really new to me. So it is a really good experience because I've only been at the only like sort of professional setup I've been at is Palace. So it's a good experience to go away from that and actually play in a different tactical setup and accustomed to different tactics, and it's good to have that sort of versatility. Just
in terms of tactics, what did you notice were the biggest differences between what you're used to and what was happening in the under-19 team?
So what I'm used to at Palace, and this is a sort of like English style of play, but it's that sort of building up from the back, loads of passing, drawing in pressure, and then exploiting the space that's created after that. But the difference with in Iraq is that there's less emphasis on building up from back. It's a lot more direct style of play, and that wasn't something I was incredibly used to. So it took me sort of accustomed to it, but I did in the end, and it's good to sort of try out different things and have that under my belt.
The second game, the 5-1, where did it all go wrong in that match?
Honestly, I feel like I don't think any of the goals were from open play. Like most of the goals from like crosses and set pieces and stuff, and most of that is just sort of discipline tactically. So like staying with your men when you're marking, and sort of just those finer details. And a lot of the time, like as you progress into higher stages of football, something I've noticed that these finer details can cost you goals, because that team we played with is the exact same team we almost beat in the first game, and it's just the sort of finer details that we needed to tune and fine tune and do better. And yeah, it's like silly errors and silly goals from set pieces, crosses, and defending in and around the box. A lot of those goals could have been easily prevented.
Yeah, obviously at that kind of level of football, the fine margins between a win and a draw and a loss. Yeah. And I think unfortunately we had to find that out the hard way. But at the end of the day, it's under 19 friendly, and hopefully the players like grow and learn from it.
Definitely.
Was it today where you got your first goal, or was it yesterday? You got your first goal for Palace this season?
It was yesterday, my first goal this season I got.
Congratulations, talk us through that.
Thank you very much. So honestly, I think this goal should have come sooner. I do see myself as an aerial threat and a threat from set pieces, and I've had chances to score earlier than this in the last couple of games, but it just hasn't happened, which was quite disappointing. But it did finally happen this game against Tottenham. I scored our only goal of the game from a set piece, something that I've been practicing for a really long time, because this season, like, we're new to Category 1 football, Crystal Palace with the new dogs here, so I want to sort of help my team in this by being that aerial threat and getting goals for us, because you never know, like, the difference between us winning or drawing or losing a game is it could be a goal from a set piece, and which I could get for them. So yeah, it was a good feeling, and hopefully many more to come.
Hopefully many more to come for Palace and for Iraq as well, man.
Thank you.
To be honest with you, bro, I'm just waiting for the I'm not gonna say lockdown to end, but like for football and fans to be able to return to watch matches. Because the first thing I'm gonna do is come down and head over to watch one of your matches. Finally, meet in person.
There, honestly.
I'll bring the Iraq flag, don't worry. Unfortunately, because the Iraq-Qatar games, the friendlies weren't televised, a lot of Iraqis are sat listening to this thinking, I wonder what he's like on the pitch.
Yeah.
How would you describe your playing style and that sort of thing?
Defensively, I think I see myself as a controlled but aggressive defender. I try not to be reckless with it. If I do make a big challenge, I make sure to win that challenge. I think every so often in each game, I do make a big challenge, but rarely I miss that. And that's what I would describe my defending in a nutshell. Also, I feel like I do defend in and around the box or blocking, crossing, sort of defending these balls in like these tight margins and tight spaces. So that's defensively, and I think on the ball in Iraq, I thought brought a sense of composure. Sort of small passes here and there, drawing in pressure, and then playing around them. That's the way I've been taught at Palace, and that's the way I enjoy. So I thought I could do that, but I also adapt to the way the Iraqis play. So yeah, it's sort of a mix of both in those two games.
I was going to ask you regarding like this season. What's your objective this season in terms of like what do you hope to achieve over the next couple of months? Is there anything in your mind that you want to achieve, or is it just like take every match as it comes?
I'm a strong believer of taking every match as it comes, but you also have to have that sort of longer goal. And as a team at Palace, we have a collective goal, and we back each other and push each other, and we believe we can win this Youth Premier League. We've been doing really well so far, but we have suffered 2 setbacks recently. After winning 5 games on the bounce, we've just come off losing 2 games in a row. But these things happen, and but we do have confidence in each other, and I do believe we can win this league. But with that, there's also the FA Youth Cup, which is the biggest competition youth football in England has to offer. And I think I have full confidence that with this team we can go really far in this cup and do really well. So
I hope you guys really do smash out this season. I think it will kind of it will send a message to everybody in the division to know that you guys aren't here just to make up numbers.
Yeah,
hopefully,
definitely.
looking forward to seeing you in the flesh playing in a Palace shirt.
Thank you very much.
Just want to ask you one final question from me, and unless Hassan has any questions himself to add. You told me there's a young Iraqi goalkeeper playing at Palace as well, a friend of yours. Can you tell us a little bit about him?
Yeah, we actually went to the same high school, me and Joseph Hoshaba. I believe he's 3 years younger than me, but me and him, out of the thousands of high schools, managed to go to the same one. So yeah.
Were you friends then?
I only sort of started speaking to him when he got signed to Palace, because I wanted to help him and with the transition, and I was going to be there if he needed anything. So I really wanted him to do well, especially since he's a young Iraqi, younger than me. I thought it was my responsibility. So and from what I've seen and the videos and the way he's playing, I think he's doing really well, and he's definitely one for the future.
Well, hopefully we see you guys both in the Iraq shirt very, very soon, man. Hopefully. Well, listen, thank you so much, man. This has been amazing speaking to you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Pleasure's all ours. Hopefully we'll see you very, very soon, bro.
Hopefully. Thank you very much, Hassan.
Wow, that was really interesting to hear from Cardo himself. He's a lot more mature than I thought. A young player, only 18. He really had his head screwed on from the sound of things. Hassan, what did you take away from that conversation?
Yeah, wonderful conversation. Sounds like a really great guy. Lots of focus on his future, and hopefully he moves up and continues his upward push. We need him for the national team for sure.
Yeah.
And hopefully one of many others to come up through English football for Iraq.
Inshallah, definitely. Lord knows we need them for the national team. I hate saying that though, because it just feels like I'm putting so much pressure on these youngsters. But yeah, the truth is these guys are the future for Iraqi football, and I know there's a lot of eyes on them, and obviously that comes with pressures and challenges, and I'm sure the players to some extent feel that pressure, but we just have to pray for them, hope they do well, keep supporting them, and inshallah when the time comes we get to see them in an Iraqi shirt. But speaking of the Iraqi national team, let's segue perfectly into the Iraq versus Jordan and the Iraq versus the Uzbekistan. 2 games. Let's talk about the first one, the Jordan one. What did you think of that, Hassan?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing to say about that game, I'll be honest, is just that it was the first one in a year for the national team. Pretty quiet game, 0-0. Not much to say about it other than that. There wasn't, it was obviously, a lot of the players just coming back to it and really getting fit and everything. So there wasn't any huge performances. It was just a 0-0 game, not a very exciting game. But we were just glad to see everybody back.
Yeah, I mean, it's been so long since we got to see Iraq play, and I don't know, it's weird with Iraq. I always get so excited before that game, and once the game kicks off, after about 5 minutes of play of the ball not doing much, the excitement wears off. But
after the third back pass to the goalkeeper.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I hate to say it, but the fans listening will probably know what I'm on about. I think this game was a bit of a dud. It was good to see the players get back into foot playing, but it was really, really boring. There's no other real way to say it. The players looked slow and lethargic, and they didn't really know, they didn't look like they know what they were doing. But the thing is, all of that, to be fair, is going to be expected. My only real issue really was that it's the first time in nearly a year that we're playing, and Katenec didn't really take any any chances or risks with the starting lineup. He played the same team that we usually play with, Mimi featuring Humam, Bashar, Amjad. He took a bit of a chance with Mohamed Mezhar, and I mean, unfortunately, there was a lot of nonsense with the Iraqi fans sending him abuse online, making fun of the way he looks, etc. Not the kind of thing we want to see in football or anywhere else, really. It was a real disappointment. But the match itself wasn't great. The Iraq versus Uzbekistan game, however, Iraq hadn't beaten them in 20 years, and somehow we walk away with a 2-1 win. What did you make of that?
Yeah, much more exciting in terms of, over than the previous game against Jordan. Not a big performance from the goalkeepers. On the other end, I've got to say, 2 blunders from the Uzbekistan keeper, and then as well on our end, probably should have saved the penalty, even though in my personal opinion it was a dive. But it was again a safe lineup from Katenec. As we've seen so far in his time, he's not a very adventurous coach. He figures out what he wants the team to look like, and he's just gone with that. And could have ended in a draw. Probably would have been fair, but we got the win. Still a friendly, but in any case, it's always good to see us win.
Well, this match we kind of went back to a 5-4-1. So Katenec realised what he did in the previous match didn't really work out in terms of 4-4-2, and he went for the traditional formation that we use. in terms of the defense, no Rebin Sulaka, so Maitham Jabbar took over. I feel like he did a decent job, and first half wasn't amazing. We conceded a cheap penalty. I thought Hamid shouldn't have. It was a dive, but I think Hamid didn't help himself. He went so close to the play, and when you give a player an opportunity to dive like that, especially a striker, experienced striker, a good striker is going to make that jump, and I think that was a goalkeeping error. But he could have saved the penalty, he didn't, and he's fortunate that the opposition goalkeeper was just atrocious, and it's not often that Mohamed Hamid is the best goalkeeper on the pitch. So we walked away with a 2-1 win. It was a lucky finish. It was great to see Mimi back on the score sheet again. It was Mimi that scored the first goal, wasn't it, the equaliser?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
The equaliser and then the winner for Ali Adnan.
Exactly, and that was a very late winner as well. Ali Adnan once again showing us what he's all about, that kind of level of composure you'd hope to see from a player of his experience, of his magnitude. He's a player that gets a lot of stick. I think because he played in Italy, he plays in the MLS. I think Iraqis have this, I don't know what's the word that I'm looking for. These weird expectations for him to like miraculously just win every game for us, and unfortunately that's not how football works, you know. But this is the fine margins that we discussed earlier with Cardo. These are the fine margins that win you games. That ability to step up to a late penalty and just slot it in without letting the pressure get to you. And fortunately, Ali did, and we got our first victory over Uzbekistan in a long while. It is a friendly. It doesn't really mean much, but for me, the main thing I'm taking away from that is that we managed to come back and get the win. With Iraq, maybe not on the Katenec, but generally from my experience of watching Iraq, once we go a goal down, you kind of lose hope, and it's like, oh, how are we going to get back into this?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've not felt that under Katenec, and whilst I have my criticisms of Katenec, we have to give credit where credit is due, and he's done really well turning Iraq into like an efficient team that can kind of grind out results even when we're not playing too well, and that's something that's very, very important, I feel.
Yeah. I mean, in the past, you'd see the national team, like if we would go down early, then it's probably a loss. But if we would score first, then we'll probably win.
Yeah.
It wasn't, it was all about the mentality. If they're feeling good, then maybe they'll play well. But under Katenec, things have very stabilized. It's a very efficient team. Not the best looking football at all times, but it works.
Yeah.
And so we're getting results, and that's all that matters.
Hopefully it stays that way as well, man. What's next for the national team? Apparently we have a game in Basra with Kuwait.
Yeah, so far it seems that there's talks about a friendly with Kuwait. Hopefully in Basra. We'll see where that goes. There's some negotiations, it seems, about regarding COVID quarantines and such. So we'll see where that goes. But hopefully we get to see another game in Iraq.
Hopefully. The other games to hopefully watch out for is Iraq versus Russia and Iceland. It's not often we get to watch Iraq with playing a European team, let alone two in a row. Talks of a friendly tournament going on. What have you heard of this, Hassan?
Yeah, we've seen a bit about that. We'll see if anything gets confirmed officially. But in any case, it's always good to see our players against more diverse opposition. So we're not constantly playing, the likes of Syria and Urdun and
Palestine. That's the other one.
Yeah, exactly. So regional teams. So it's always important to have the diversity of opposition. So I really hope we get some official confirmation of that soon.
I'm hoping. The main issue for me is that when you're playing teams like Syria, and no disrespect to them, but you're playing teams like Palestine and Bahrain, etc., and over again, it's not going to help you develop. That's the main thing that really makes it frustrating for me to see us keep playing these teams over and over again. if your players want to develop and improve, you need to take on better teams. You need to play teams that have a different style of play that you're not used to. If we're serious about qualifying for the World Cup, the next round is going to be very challenging. We're going to have to start beating teams like Japan, South Korea, Australia, etc. And by playing Palestine over and over again, we're not giving ourselves the foundation in order to do that. And hopefully these games actually come to fruition and we can actually gain some experience and maybe see Katenec take a risk or two, bring in some new players, who knows, you know. I'm hoping it happens. I don't think it is going to happen, but I'm hoping to see players like Jilwan and Osama Rashid back in the national team. None was selected this time. The one that we usually look forward to seeing is Rabin, and he was injured. Unfortunately, he had I can't remember what he had exactly. I spoke to him. Poor guy sent me a video of how it happened. But yeah, it was just he was out for about 3 weeks. Who do you think we will see realistically?
Realistically, it's hard to say, honestly. I mean, we've talked about this at length in the past, but looks like Katenec, he wants to keep it very safe. He knows what he's sticking to primarily the local based players and Middle East based players, the guys who he knows at this point. So a lot of the guys like Ahmed Yassin and Jilwan and Osama, they're not really getting the opportunities. I'm hoping that we get to see them, but honestly, I'm not too hopeful at this point.
Yeah, neither am I. I mean, you have Jilwan doing really, really well in Croatia right now. He's doing well with his club in terms of form and in terms of their league position. Rebin's team is up to second in the top division in Bulgaria. We had Emir Al Amari. He's in Sweden's second division. They've just got promoted after their recent win to the top division in Sweden. He's another player I hope to see. But speaking of Sweden, Ahmed Yassin finished third, and they're through to the Europa League qualifiers. So, I mean, our players abroad, they are doing well. The question is, when are we going to get to see them, or are we going to get to see them?
Yeah, and performances from them is absolutely it cannot be a mark against them. We cannot say that that they're being removed from the national team or not called for a technical decision, because you look at their numbers. I mean, Ahmed Yassin has got 6 goals, 6 assists from the wing. That's a good return for his team, which will be playing in Europa League next season. You can't say that for any of the other Iraqi players. Emir Al-Amari as well, 9 goals, 7 assists for his team. Players are performing, and they're performing in their leagues. So we'll have to see what the reasoning is going to be for them not being included. But we'll have to see how things go.
Well, we're going to find out one way or another. But hopefully we do get to see them joining the national team. Now, speaking of European-based players, one of the reasons we've delayed this podcast, well, there's 2 reasons really. I was hoping to, first of all, to have this straight after the Iraq match, but I wanted Cardo to join us on the podcast. Unfortunately, we were having difficulty kind of arranging a time that suited all 3 parties. Finally managed to do that today. The other reason why we've delayed the podcast is that we're waiting for Alaa Abbas's announcement. And lo and behold, it happened on the day we were recording. So Alaa Abbas officially unveiled today. He joins, how do I pronounce it? Is it Vicente in Portugal? He's their new number 10. What were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, just saw the news a few hours ago about this. Very exciting to say the least. I mean, hopefully we don't see the same thing as Mohamed's move to Portimonense, but I think it's a little bit of a different situation. Hopefully, Vicente. Hopefully that's how to pronounce it. But they're starved for goals. They have no goals. Very few goals being scored among their strikers, among the whole team. They're kind of a struggling team so far this season. I've been keeping tabs of them ever since the news came out that he had an offer. And he's got an opportunity ahead of him. It's all about himself and his mentality, how he trains and how he adjusts. So the first thing that he's got to do, he's got to learn the language. He's got to learn how to, become a part of the team and not, just be on the side, not really knowing what's going on, especially in training. So really, in this aspect, I think a lot of Iraqi players, they got to learn from Ali Adnan, who, when he went to Turkey, he learned Turkish. He understood he learned the environment. Went to Italy, he learned Italian. He became friends with the whole team, basically. He's a very social guy. So they got to learn this.
Just on that note as well, fluent in English. He's pretty much involved in everything that Vancouver do in terms of media and marketing, etc.
Exactly. So that's a major aspect. You got to really, really imprint yourself on the squad. So hopefully Alaa can really make his mark here, and there's an opportunity for him. He's got the number 10 jersey for his team, which is a little bit of pressure, but also at the same time, there's going to be there's support for him on the team. Hopefully he can live up to it, and we'll see a new player actually make it in Europe, following in the footsteps of Ali Adnan.
Fingers crossed. I mean, they've already played 9 games this season, and there's been rumours of this transfer happening for months now. There was even rumours last season about this, but everything just went quiet and nobody really knows what happened. I'm sure we'll find out soon, but I'm just glad that the transfer eventually went through. They've won 2 games all season. They've drawn 3, but they've lost 4. In terms of goals, they've only scored 8 and they've conceded 10. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on him to start banging those goals in very early on, especially that they've lost their 3 games on the trot. So I'm excited to see him play. I'm sure he'll be in touch as well with Osama Rashid to help him settle down. But it's as you said earlier, man, that the main thing is that when it comes to him settling down in Portugal, he learns the language, he gets accustomed to the culture, the way of life there, the method of playing football there. Otherwise, it will hopefully not, but it might end up being very similar to Mohamed Ali moving to Portugal, where there were complaints about his dedication in training, his efforts, and after a couple of matches where he didn't really do much, he saw himself on the bench before not too long. He was not even being selected for the squad. And that was obviously a disaster, and I'm glad to see Mohamed's actually doing really well in Qatar now. But I'm hoping this time round for Alaa, it will be a much better journey. I think, if I'm honest with you, I think Alaa's more suited to the European style of football than Mohamed anyway. I think he's light on his feet. I think he's technically better in terms of holding up the ball, passing. He's a deadly finisher in the box. So it will be very interesting to see how they use him tactically. Is he going to be somebody that will be used to link up play, or is he somebody they're going to ask to just wait inside the box and just get on the end of whatever they end up creating? He's been very, very good for Iraq, even though he's not started much, and we need to really wait and see. But at least it gives us something to look forward to on the weekends. Now we could watch Portugal or the Portuguese division and look forward to somebody other than just Santa Clara with Osama Rashid there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's pretty much everything that I wanted to discuss regarding the expats. The only final thing, Hassan, is thank you to Yusuf Al-Khafaji and all his amazing work. The new Iraqi kits with Umbro and the new football, etc. What have you made of all that?
Yeah, it's been amazing to see, honestly, and it's all over Iraqi football in general, just through the Iraqi League up to the national team. We're seeing some real professionalism when it comes to the branding of the team, the kits, the everything in that area. So you're seeing,
even logos. I think it was a Shurta who rebranded their logos. Arbil recently did the same thing.
It's been years we've been seeing horribly outdated logos, really, really terrible logos throughout the Iraqi League, and now we're seeing some professional work in the Premier League, the Iraqi Premier League itself, with its own official logo. It all looks much cleaner, much more professional, much more respectable in general. So credit to them for the work that they've done, and Yusuf Khafaji as well.
100%. I think a big part of that's come from the introduction of private ownership into the Iraqi League. We've seen people buying out entire clubs. Dewani, as an example, they're new to the Iraqi Premier League, and they've spent a lot of money bringing in loads of different players. What have you made of their season so far?
Yeah, it's been a team to watch since their summer, where they signed I don't know how many players. Pretty much a brand new team.
It was over 24 last time I remember.
Yeah, a full squad of players. So there was a lot of eyes on them in general. It's been a so-so season so far, but considering the status of club that they were before this summer, there's progress. I think they're sitting somewhere around mid-table, 9th, I think, and they had a huge win over Nadi Shafla, which is as anybody who follows Iraqi football, that's giants of the league. Always favorites to win it in recent years. Very tight draw against the Nafot I think in the last match week. They could have won it in the last moments, but it was a pretty bad miss at the end of the game. But and overall, it's they're showing signs of promise, and of course you'd expect that considering how many players and a lot of foreign players that they've signed.
The thing is, when you buy so many players and you make so many changes, and they fired their manager after their first loss, after like 3 games, I think it was, it does take time, and these projects usually don't last. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with them and the new setup, Iraqi League in general. But hopefully it's a sign of things to come, where there's going to be a lot more funding involved in Iraqi football and a lot more professionalism involved. We need to kind of move away from this method of the Iraqi government funding everything, and move towards a system of private ownership to encourage efficiency in spending, etc. But again, another thing to look forward to. Hopefully, we see the unveiling of the new Iraqi shirts, and we get to see out where we could order them from. Because right now, if you're based in the West, like I am, to get an Iraqi shirt, an official one at least, is pretty much impossible. So let's wait for that announcement. Apparently it's going to be very, very soon, but I won't say too much. So we'll wait and see what happens with that. Hassan, any final thoughts today?
I mean, yeah, we'll see how things develop with the national team. I'm really looking forward to the new Umbro kits. I think they said early this 2021, something like that, but I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But judging by what we've seen so far, there's a lot to look forward to. And as always, hopefully we see more progress.
Fingers crossed. So that's all from us today, guys. We've discussed loads. It was amazing to hear from Cardo. And finally, football is back, and we get to see Iraq play. Hopefully, these friendlies with Iceland, Russia, I think it was Kuwait as well, that we're waiting to find out about. Once they're confirmed, we look forward to discussing those games with you, and hopefully we even get to see some expats if we're lucky. But until then, if you want to get in touch, find me on Twitter. My username is @IraqFootballPod. If you want to find me on Instagram, it's Iraq Football Pod, or @Hassanin, HASSANANE. Hassan, if we want to find you, where do we go?
Primarily on Twitter, @HassanO_1193.
Perfect. Hassan, thank you for joining us once more. And guys, see you soon. Yalla ya Iraq.